Hi, my name is Megan Holman and I will be presenting a short video about cultural diversity with an example session. Soon you will see a video of a client who will describe a few of his presenting problems, but just briefly, the client is Caucasian, male, mid-20s, from a working class family from the south of the United States. He believes in and practices non-monogamous, otherwise known as polyamorous relationships, and he is referred by his employer due to being emotional at work. The problems he describes include depression and stress about his finances and a recent relationship issue, his lack of social and financial support, and being isolated in the rural area he now lives in. Hi Jeremiah, what brings you in today?
Um, I've just been stressed out with work lately. I'm working like 3 shifts now. Um, just trying to keep up on the lease on my apartment. It's, it was hard before. Um, we money was tight for us, and we started talking about finding another roommate that could move into uh, the second bedroom in our apartment. And the only other friend I've made here was this other girl I was seeing. And at first, she was okay with it. But when we started talking about her moving in, um, guess she thought it was like a side thing at first and wasn't okay with it being that serious, and caused a lot of like fighting from her jealousy, and she ended up moving out. So
Yeah, I imagine you're pretty disappointed at her reaction.
um yeah, it is pretty disheartening.
I'm wondering what kind of changes have come up since she's left. What's different?
I feel hesitant to even like enter into another relationship right now. um um because being poly is important to me, and since this last relationship didn't work out, I just don't want to, get myself attached again. If I'm not, it might just end up the same way. But on the other hand, like, I need someone there for the support, like financially and like emotionally, since I'm in this new little town, and um, don't really know that many people here. So just not really sh- I feel trapped, not really sure what to do.
Yeah, it sounds like you got a lot of things overwhelming right now. I'm hearing on top of the breakup happening, the financial stress is really piling up, and you're feeling pretty stuck. I heard you share that you just you're kind of new to the area. Where did you move from? What's different between here and there? As you can see from the clip, the therapist uses open-ended questions to allow the client to explore the issues at his pace. The therapist does not push too hard on any particular thought or emotion at this time, as rapport is still being developed. As the session continues, the therapist will be able to use normalization of needs and desires. For example, many people struggle to find and maintain healthy relationships, or it makes sense you want to be secure in your living situation. After assessment and continued development of rapport, the therapist can engage the client in problem solving accompanied with validation in order for the client to feel supported as he examines these difficult issues. The therapist might also address his strengths and help him to identify what is going well and what skills he has to approach the difficult situation he is faced with at this time. There are many therapeutic barriers and issues to consider for diverse clients. For this client in particular, and for other working class individuals, it is very helpful to acknowledge the potential for a power dynamic to occur within the counseling relationship. The potential for oppression, or to trigger the client in replaying previous power struggles, is something to watch out for and can be mitigated by continuing to allow the client to guide and direct the session. Issues for non-monogamous individuals might include identity, including becoming comfortable with the state of one's preferences and values, coming out or disclosing identity to family, friends, coworkers, or the community, issues of jealousy within the relationship, which, as in the video, you heard the client start to talk about, and communication skills as individuals navigate the complexity of non-monogamous relationships, jealousy, and other issues. Social marginalization is a particularly important issue as non-monogamous relationships are not legally recognized the way that LGBTQ relationships are now recognized. Additionally, there still may be judgments and value-driven emotional outbursts from family or workplace. For example, for this client, his family may think that if he had just gotten married to the girlfriend, she would not have moved out, or if he had not suggested having an additional roommate live with them, she would have stayed. This blames the client and does not consider the difference in values and beliefs, and in this way the client may be marginalized. For this client in particular, the therapist might help him access economic supports to ease the financial pressure, access vocational or education supports if desired, access the local LGBTQ community, as this community is often available and accessible even in rural areas and may accommodate non-monogamous individuals. However, it is important not to make this assumption, as discrimination against non-monogamous individuals can still occur even inside communities where one would think they would be accepted. Finally, online supports may be necessary in this rural environment if no in-person connections can be formed. Possible stereotypes a person might have about non-monogamous or about this client in particular is because this client is trying to have multiple relationships. They are sexually promiscuous or a player, a user. This is not the case, as he describes being hesitant to get into a relationship for being emotionally hurt again. It may be that because the client is working class or from the South, they may be judged as not intelligent or ignorant. So it's important that the therapist not suggest the client needs further education, but rather ascertains whether they would like further education. It might be assumed that because the client is from the South, he is Christian, and this is not confirmed in any way, and so an exploration of spiritual beliefs would be necessary. Again, because the client is from the South, a person might assume that he might be biased against other social minorities, and again, this is unconfirmed and it would need to be discussed further. And finally, one of the presenting problems is the client is familiar with a rural or small town setting. When it comes to light that the client is actually new to the area and previously did not live in a rural area, and so may be completely unaware about how to get social support in a rural area such as this. The possible assumptions can be countered, again, by asking rather than assuming about the client's beliefs, values, and experiences through open-ended questions with a non-judgmental attitude. Additionally, as the therapist continues to come to understand a client's diverse background, the therapist can do additional research independently to try to understand more, so the burden is not on the client to explain everything. And here are my references. Thank you for listening.